Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is really exciting. This is the first video in many videos I hope to come for polymer clay tutorial. We're going to make some blue pots today with flowers, and here I am just showing the tools that you're going to need. Various tools, all something you'll have if you've been working with clay for any amount of time. These are the templates, the cutters I'm going to be using today. I will link below where I got these. I printed these myself, but you can find these on Etsy. Okay, so here I am. I'm just starting to lay out the base of the earring, what the pot and the flowers is going to go on. And some of this video is sped up, but some of it I kept it real time. It's kind of relaxing to see the process. And this is a pretty big chunk that I just cut out of the package. This is Sculpey Souffle, which Souffle and Primo is what I work with the most. Sculpey 3 sometimes for small details, but it can be brittle and it's just not as good. So this is I forget the color of it, but it's like a brown. And so I'm just trying to flatten this out a little bit before I put it in the pasta machine, because if I just try to jam that block into the pasta machine, it just doesn't work out real well. Another thing that I do all the time using clay is using baby wipes. I get the non-scented, the one, not the cheapest ones, because those ones seem to have like a little bit of a, not a film, but like little flakes of paper or something that comes off of it, like a lint. So anyways, so I just keep things really clean. So here I've rolled out the polymer clay for the base, and I just put this on the largest setting on my machine, which I believe is 4 millimeters. And now I'm just going to take my template, and I ended up making 3 sets of earrings during this video, and you'll see 2 sets here that I'm making. Take your time doing this. If you find here, I'm going to leave in some of the imperfections, some of the mistakes I made, but if it gets stuck or you pull it out too far, it's fine. Just work with it. Clay is pretty forgiving, and if you don't like it, just wad it up into a ball and roll it out again and just try again. It's not a big deal. So then here I'm just gonna, I find that any prep work you can do before you get all your flowers and everything on there. So I'm showing you the edges here, how the edges are rough. And so those need to be cleaned up. You could just put that down, do your decoration, but I really find that the more you can do now while it's malleable is better than having to sand it a bunch. You know, when you're done, it just saves you from having to do all that sanding. I do have to do some sanding at some point on the edges, but for the most part, I try to take care of all this beforehand. So here I am, just doing my thing. I really wanted to record my voice while I was doing this, but it just seems with a homeschool kid and dogs and just, you know, washers going, just all these things are happening, and it's just not always, it's not always possible. So I'm just doing a voiceover for this one, and you get to just hang out with me, unedited, and my thoughts and tips and tricks and just instruction of what's happening. Okay, so I've got my base all laid out. And again, I'm going to just clean up my workspace. It's really important to clean up your workspace. Keep it clean, especially from lint. Like if little pieces of stuff and lint get on your clay, it can be really irritating to get out. So just take the time and clean it up. Okay, so you can see there's little dots on there already. I had put just some practice dots like where I wanted to go and realized they were a little too far from the edge, because you'd have to have a pretty big ring, you know, to get it around. So I moved the holes up just a little bit, but that little tiny dot that I started to make on the bottom, that's going to be covered up by our pots. This is a really pretty mixture of blues and whites that I use for some other projects. And so to make another little slab for me to cut my flower pots out, I'm just going to bring this all together. I'm going to roll it out, and then I might roll it through my pasta machine once or twice. And I really like the mixture of all these blues. It gives it a really neat marbled look, which is what I was going for with these little flower pots. There's so many different combinations of flower pots that you can make, striped or just like this, like a variant of colors, marbled, just solid. There's so many different choices, but this blue, I really enjoyed this blue. So here I am just trying to decide what part of the blue I want to use, and I rolled it through my pasta machine. I think I did roll this at 4 millimeters, so this is also This is also pretty thick because we're not going to resin the top of these earrings, so we want there to be some kind of substantial layer to these. And then this cutter is really tiny, and it is a little tedious, so you're going to see me make a boo-boo here in a second, but I left it in there because I want you to see it's not a big deal. It happens to people that make earrings all the time, and so this one turned out pretty good, and so I'm just going to lay it out. And sorry if the camera keeps going like blurry to focus. It's a setting on my camera that's more manual, and it's really nice to keep everything really bright for the video, but it also sometimes has a mind of its own, so it's a work in progress. Okay, so here comes the boo-boo. So you're gonna see I'm trying to get this one out without making it look just terrible and so I just it's not a big deal. Just pick it out and just pick a new place. It's really not a big deal. When you're making clay earrings, if you just start getting like all stressed out about it and like, you know, it didn't turn out or it's not perfect, or even if you've been making them for a long time or you're new, you just have to have fun. Like put your, like at the background of this tutorial I'm making, I do have some music going in the background. Sometimes I watch a show, so just have a good time with it. If you find yourself getting really tense and stressed, then you need to get yourself situated first, because you won't like what you create. You know, it won't feel good. Okay, so I'm getting these pots laid out. Trying to get all the little fuzzies and everything off that I can. And then I decided, you know what, I'm just had enough of this little cutter. So this one, this other shaped flower pot, is really nice. I really like this one. I've used this one multiple times with a white and blue striped flower pot that's in my Etsy shop. And it just comes out better. I don't use any cornstarch or anything like that. First, I don't dip my cutters. I've never really done that, and I know it can be done. I'm not saying it's good or bad or whatever. It's just, you just kind of find what works for you. And the cornstarch, I did do it once at the very beginning, and I just felt like it was really messy and I didn't like it. So you can also do like saran wrap. You can put a piece of saran wrap over your clay and then put your cutter through it, which you know, is cool too. You just got to try new things and just find what works for you. I just feel like there isn't, some things there's a right and wrong, you know, and things don't work out good or won't last. But in this case, I just prefer not to use any kind of cornstarch. So again, I'm cleaning up the edges of these pots, just making them look really nice because they do kind of come a little bit rough. Okay, so the pots are ready, and I'm going to decide here that I need to add some detail to this. So I'm going to come through and just add a little detail. You don't have to do this. I just thought it needed it. And that's the fun part about creativity. You get to choose what you want to do. Okay, so now I'm going to start preparing for the flowers that are going to go on. And I thought with the blue, some yellows and oranges, and it's, you know, September here, so it's just fall colors are coming back. So I thought that might be really nice to just do just something, you know, with a fall spectrum. But again, this is really up to you. So this yellow that I'm using, this is Sculpey 3 with some Souffle white. And I find that if you have Souffle white as your base and then you add a little bit of a Sculpey 3 color, I find that that has remained really strong too. That has really helped it because it's mostly Souffle white. Yeah, okay, yeah, so here I am. I'm just getting ready. I want to have kind of a little tiny slab that's kind of ombre with the colors there. And I'm going to run this through my pasta machine until these are all mixed up. And I think I ran it through there. I'm not going to show you all the way through, but I think I ran it through there 5 or 6 times. And it created a nice little slab with this varied color. There it is. So that was after 5 or 6 times. and I lay it out, and I want it to stick to the tile. I'm using a tile underneath me, just a big tile from Home Depot for like $5. And then I know I want to have some green for my leaves, so I'm kind of holding the green up to that little slab I made there, and I like that green. There's just so many endless possibilities for making these clear earrings, you know, in these flower pots. So it's funny because the first flower pots that I made months and months and months ago, and I put them on my Etsy shop, and I'm like, you know, I don't know, my my jewelry tends to be really bright and flamboyant, and that's like what really draws me to it, and I really like it. So here I am real quick, I'm just gonna interrupt myself, and I liked that section of the green, so I folded it and stretched that out. But anyways, so these flower pots, I thought they were going to be just like maybe a little bit too cartoony or just not really grown up enough, but they just turn out so cute, and they're just really fun to wear with like anything, like a jeans and a t-shirt that matches them, or like a dress. So I just keep making them, and I just keep having fun. I find if you try to think, okay, here I am, I'm showing you cutters, I'm going to interrupt myself again. So these are what I'm going to use for the petals, for the flower petals. I can link that whole set there on Amazon. It's very inexpensive, and then I'm just showing you the different tools I'm going to be using here. Anyways, what I was saying is, if you make what you want to make and what sounds fun to you, then you'll come out with some really creative things, some things that really speak to other people, or you'll think, man, I just really love this, but like everyone's probably going to hate this. But I don't know, I just feel like there is someone out there that's going to be like, this is really cute. And you'll find your niche, especially if you're just starting out making earrings and you get good enough to where your things aren't falling apart and you want to list them somewhere on a platform and sell them. Make what you want to make. If you start doing like custom orders, which, you know, custom orders aren't bad. I do custom orders, but like if that's all you do, or you're just trying to think of what other people like, then you're going to get really bored with what you're doing, and it won't be enjoyable for you anymore. So just make what makes you happy. And you'll know what I mean. If you already make clay earrings, or you're just going to start giving it a go, you'll know exactly what I mean. If you don't like the color palette, or you just like hate what you're doing, then you'll fizzle out and you won't stick with it. So I'm also trying to keep this symmetric. So whatever I do on one side of the earring, I'm trying to do that on the other side of the earring. Yeah, and it won't end up perfect, you know, it will be a little bit off, but that's what makes it handmade, is I'm not a machine. So that's okay. And there's a lot of different ways to make these leaves stick out. There's a lot of different ways to make them different kinds of leaves. These are like big plant pot leaves, because I'm only putting 3 dashes on each side. If I were to do a bunch, you know, like 10 of those little dashes on each side, that would change the look of it. So and I did speed this video up a little bit. And you'll notice that I'm working, so I have the tile underneath me, and then I also have the small tile that I'm using to put these pots on. And the reason I do that is because you can see me moving that around. So it's not like my arm is trying to reach all weird, you know, to make the shapes that I want and to put the lines in that I want. I'm actually able to move that tile all around and move it to where I need to move it to make the right move with my cutter, or with my awl that I use there to make the leaves. So that's another like a must. Just go to Home Depot and get a small tile. I even have a smaller tile than this one. I think this one is like a 7x7 or 8x8, and I have a 4x4, and that one works really good too if you're just making like one pair of earrings. So here I'm just having some fun, and I'm just deciding if I like this, and my camera wants to be stupid. Sorry. I don't know how to make it not do that. It's a work in progress. Figure it out. So again, don't get too tight. Don't get too tight with this. Just like stay loose and have a good time, and don't try to make it all perfect. So my battery died, and here I am cutting out this little slab that we made. And I think this round cutter I'm using is the 8mm. And I'm just pressing it down on the tile again and pulling down really close to the tile, pulling it sideways, and it usually comes off. Save that little scrap because I'm sure you will use that for something. And then here you're going to see me making petals. Some people use like a foam mat to do this, or like if you have a silicone mold, you know, and it's washed and it's clean, sometimes you can use the back of a silicone mold to do this. But I just find that my hand works pretty good. So I'm just getting all my petals made. So once I get into flower mode, I don't have to stop and roll any more of these petals. And I don't roll them out too thin. Again, you're going to get just a feel for it, you know, what you like. But if you make them too thin, if you make these little petals too thin, I'm just not that good of a flower artist. I've seen some really, really, really beautiful like peonies and roses, and the petals are so thin and just beautiful and delicate, and I'm just not that good yet, or I may never be. So I don't make them really, really thin, and I find that they turn out okay for me, and I like the way that they look. And then you're just going to start to roll with your fingers towards the bottom. Start at the bottom. Don't get too close to your petals or it will start to smash your petals together. So I'm just rolling really gently. Don't rush through this, just have a good time. And then I'm going to take my tissue cutter and I'm just cutting all that bulk off. There we go. And now I have a rose. Disclaimer, be careful with those tissue cutters and with the X-Acto knife because you will cut yourself bad. And you may see me doing things on here where I'm handling it and it seems dangerous, but you just kind of get it down and you don't need, or you know what I mean. You're okay. You know your cutters and you're not going to cut yourself, but they are sharp. So what I like to do if I'm making a pair of earrings that are gonna have flowers is I like to kind of have them symmetrical. So whatever is on one side is going to be on the other side. Doesn't have to be perfect in the placement because that doesn't make any sense. They always kind of turn out wrong, or not wrong, but you know, they turn out different shapes and sizes by a little bit. So like this one is for the other earring, so I will make them 2 by 2. So now I made one for that one, now I'll make one for this one. So whatever I make next, I'm going to try to make that exact thing for the next one. So this is a different way of making really small roses. Very tiny. And I'm kind of pressing towards the bottom when I do this, and you'll see me stop a few times because I don't like it. And I don't, there we go. Not that I don't remember what I filmed in this video, but this is the fun part about a voiceover is you and I are kind of watching this and I'm remembering what I did. So I like the way that one turned out. Again, rolling from the bottom and then cut it towards the top. Not too close to the top because your little layers there will fall apart, but and this little ball tool is just so handy. And see, I got it, I didn't like it, so I just started over, and there's a piece of lint. Get out of there, please. So if you don't like it, you just smash it up and do it again. So there we are. And oh, I didn't put that one on the other side. Okay, wow. Now I'm gonna make two for the other side. Try to keep them really similar. What's really fun is if you just know, hey, I want to make a bunch of earrings that have flowers on them and leaves. Start with the flowers, put a good show on, get a big glass of, you know, whatever you love to drink, and just sit here with a bunch of colors and just make flowers. Just make tons of like roses, and all of these little spiral roses, and just make it like fill that whole tile with just a bunch of flowers, and then you can just kind of, you know, sit down and whip some earrings out and have a lot to choose from if you're making something with like a, you know, kind of a bouquet. It's nice that it's September and it's cooling down, because if you're in a really hot house, which we don't have, we have like a little window AC in one of the bedrooms, but it's been getting really hot still, even into September in the afternoon. The sun just comes through the window and this whole room just gets really warm. So if you find that that's happening, it will make it harder to make these flowers and to work with your clay. So this has been really nice. It's not hot in here at all. Okay, what am I doing? I am rearranging and I'm showing you what we've done so far. Okay. Okay, so this is liquid polymer clay. This is not Bacon Bond. That's different, and that is not as liquidy. This is pretty liquidy, so easy when you spit it out. And I just want to give this just a little extra bondage, you know, so that they come together, these two pieces, and they really stay. Because there's nothing more defeating. I've not had this happen, but I can imagine there's nothing more defeating than your flowers and roses coming off after you've baked them and you wear them. And then you could see me shape the bottom of the rose. If it looks just too flat and kind of weird, just take a look at it and shape it up. And then I decided that I wanted to put some leaves coming out of the bottom, or over the side of the plant is what I mean. Once I got those on there, I was like, oh, you know, I really want to do this. And that's fine. You have creative flow, whatever you want to do. Okay, so I'm putting a little bit more of that liquid clay on the sides, and sometimes it can get a little stringy, so if it comes out and it gets on your project like I just did right there, that's all good. Just grab your baby wipe and clean it up a little bit. It'll bake clear, but still you just don't want some kind of goop over there. So here I am, I'm shaping that. Sometimes I'm like, man, that would fit really good in that spot, but its base isn't just the right shape, so I will change the shape a little bit. Why is my camera doing that? Sorry about the non-focus. Okay, cool. So I am going to go off camera and make these other two little flower pots, so this video isn't 500 hours long, because you guys don't want to see that. And I'm going to clean up my workstation. Yes. What am I doing? I'm thinking. Oh, okay. We're adding more details to the pot. That's what we're doing. So I'm just thinking of ways to jazz this up a little bit. And so I'm adding some more details to that. And then I think I'm going to show you guys how to wipe this down with a Q-tip. Yes, I am. Look at me. I'm so good. So I just use this alcohol. And I get it wet, and then I kind of get all, like, you don't want this thing to be soaking. You don't need that, and you don't want that. And what I'm doing is I'm just cleaning up any fingerprints or any lint that may have fallen onto this. And I'm getting it wet again. And I'm kind of just, see, I was like kind of airing it out because I don't want it to be really wet. And it just really helps clean everything up and take all your fingerprints and stuff off. It's really nice. Okay, so now I'm going to do the second pair. And I'm back. That was fast. So now that I have these done, now I'm showing you that we're going to talk about posts. So with posts, this is really nice because with posts, so you could put these on a hook, you know, just like an S hook. And I really recommend that you do hypoallergenic, whatever, hypoallergenic posts, or S hooks, or just all your findings. Just keep them hypoallergenic. Your clients will really appreciate it, and your family and friends. So what I'm doing here is we're actually going to put these on like a colorful post, and you'll see what I mean here in a minute. And so I'm just deciding if I like that blue. Okay, so now I'm also using this basic round cutter to make, let's just call him the post topper, because the post part is actually the metal part. And I use an 8mm. I do have 10 and I do have 6, but I find that 8mm is what I use the most. And save my scraps. And now here's a debate. You can either do what I'm doing right now, which is making these holes prior to baking them, which I find is much easier. It just saves so much work with the drilling afterward. Or you can just bake them as they are, and then you can drill afterward. But sometimes the holes don't come out right, so I prefer to do it this way. And I'm just cleaning up the edges so that I have minimal sanding at the very end. Sometimes I find you don't even need to sand at the very end, like they just turn out really good. But definitely if the edges are rough or they're rough underneath, you need to sand that. It just looks nice, it's professional. Yeah, so I'm just cleaning these up here. And then, what am I doing? Oh, I'm cleaning my workspace. All right, so clean up the workspace, and then yes, clean your roller. Voiceovers. This is my first voiceover, so I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure if I'm cut out for this. I might be too much of a chatterbox. Okay. So I'm just checking to make sure everything looks really good. We don't have any rough edges. And this tissue blade really helps me get underneath that. If I was just to try to kind of pry that off with my fingers off the tile, it would just make it all wonky. And here I am making sure that my holes are the way that I want them. Your hole needs to be not so close to the edge that it's gonna easily break, which this is souffle. This is a souffle, Sculpey Souffle, so it's made, you know, differently. It's really good. It's made tough, but you want your hoop to be able to go from the hole on your post to the hole on your actual clay part here with the flower pot. So you don't want that hoop to have to be super giant, so just make your hole pretty close to the edge. Same thing with your posts here, your post toppers. Because you want these to dangle. You don't want it to be so tight that they're touching each other and they don't dangle right. And then we're going to bake these at the temperature listed on the package, which mine is usually 250 for about 45 minutes to an hour. Just depends, and that conventional oven gets kind of goofy, so you just have to try it out, whatever oven you're using. So here's the 8mm posts, and I am just deciding what I want to do here. And super glue gel by Gorilla is like my favorite. There's other brands like Loctite, but I like the gel because it doesn't go everywhere. And you don't need a lot here. You do not need a lot. You just need enough to get it on there, and I just press it on. But if it's like squishing out the sides and making a big mess, you don't want that. So just get it on there enough. Now here's the thing. Before you even apply your Bake Bond, you're not going to use liquid polymer clay for this. You're going to use Bake Bond. There's a big difference. Here I am showing you the Bake Bond. You want to let that Gorilla Glue or whatever kind of glue you're using, let it fully dry. Because here's what happens if you don't. If you don't, then you start to apply this Bacon Bond, and that kind of mixes in with the glue, and it's not really that big of a deal right now. You don't notice anything right now, but then when you bake it, that glue that's all mixed in with your Bacon Bond, it turns yellow. And it just, I don't feel like the integrity is compromised in any way. Like, I feel like the post is okay, but it just looks bad. It looks kind of icky and bad, almost like it's like an old earring. I don't know. It just looks weird. So let that dry fully. If you do put too much glue and it oozes out a little bit on the sides of the metal post, that's fine. Just let it dry completely, probably like an hour. Make sure that it's dry, and then you can apply this Bacon Bond. There's also a debate too whether the Bacon Bond needs to go all like over the entire back of the earring except for that hole, and I just don't find that that's necessary either. Maybe aesthetically it looks better, but I don't know. I've been making polymer clay earrings for over a year, you know, all the time, every day, and I just don't feel like it compromises anything in any way, and I've never had one break, and none of my clients have ever complained. So again, I just don't know if there's a right and wrong way to do it in this case. I just think this works pretty good, and it dries clear, so you can't even really see it. So now I'm picking out the hardware, the rings, and I'm going to do gold on those orange ones. And I was thinking about doing this silver, but I either had too big or too little for that purple pot, or the purple flower pot, so I decided to go with maybe some colored rings, and I'm going to pull those out here in a second. I also got this on Amazon, and it's not too bad. This little thing isn't too bad for the price. I use mostly purple and pink and turquoise, so I think I might order just those colors in the future. And then I have a whole package of black. I use a lot of the black. And now I think I'm going to do a lot of fast forwarding or like time lapse during this. But I just wanted to show you, so when you do this, especially with the colored ones, you don't need to like grip this thing to death, because if you do, it's going to chip away that color. Just because the tools you're using are metal. It can be kind of sharp. So I'm only bending it enough to get it back open and then straight back. If you were to bend this ring, you know, 2 or 3 times or get wonky with it, every time you bend it, it really takes down the integrity of the metal. And so you don't want to do that. So I'm just opening it once, putting everything on there. This is like the most fun part because you're almost done. Yep. And there we go. So the purple one is done. I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. If you have any questions, please reach out to me in the comments. I look forward to making more tutorials on different designs and inspiring you guys to create your own jewelry. Homemade gifts are the best, or just creating something for yourself, or maybe taking it even further into a profession. So I hope to see you guys on the next video. Bye!